when you first launch Archicad, you're going to find this window. Here you can just start with a new project, browse existing projects, and also browse teamwork files. Teamwork files are projects that are shared, that several people can work on at the same time. And right here in the space, it will list projects that you have recently opened. At this point, I haven't recently opened anything, so it's empty. So let's start with a new project. And the second window that it's going to show us is he's asking us to choose a template file. Most likely your office, if you're working for an architectural practice, has already a template file with lots of settings that are the office standards. And here in the second part, it's much more your personal settings. So you can, when you use Archicad, you can change the user interface, you can change your shortcuts. So you have different profiles that you can choose from. Those settings that you create for yourself, you can export them into another computer or take them home with you and import them so you will find the software exactly as you know it and as you like it. So in this case, I'm going to go with Architectural Profile 24. I'm just going to create new. And in this video, what I want to show you is try to show you some of the main parts of the user interface and try to find some logic into it so you don't feel very lost when you first start with Archicad. First thing I notice is that I'm working on the ground floor, but I also have different views of the same project that are already opened. Let's go back to the ground floor, and we're going to start exploring this bar here on the left. If you're new to Archicad, you can just grab this bar and drag it to the right so you can actually read what these icons correspond to. Here's the logic behind this toolbar. The first part is all about selection tools. The second part, the design part, think of it as the 3D part of Archicad. This is where you're going to find all the 3D elements of the project, like walls, slabs, doors, windows, etc. Then you have the viewpoint part. This is where you can create new sorts of views, including new sections, new elevations, and new details, etc. And now if you go back here, you have document part of this toolbar. In the document part, think of it mostly as 2D elements. 2D elements that can be used to document a project, such as dimensions and text and labels, but also fills or hatches, polylines, etc. Now let's go back to the design part. This is what I want to show you also, is that this part of the screen here, which you can actually scroll to find all the options with your mouse wheel, it's contextual, meaning it adapts to each one of the tools that you're using, but there is some logic to it. And the first icon you're going to find is the settings dialogues. And inside this menu, you will find all the options related to this tool. The most important options are repeated outside. So basically, everything that you see in this toolbar, you can find inside this menu here. The second part is the layers. You can find the layer and change the layer into which you're going to design or draw. And the third part is the geometry method. So you can just decide how you're going to draw our wall in this case. It's just going to be just one segment. If I click in this arrow, I can also choose a chain method. Let's go ahead and choose this second method, the chain method. And take a look at what's written here on the lower part of the screen. Archicad is helping us to understand what we have to do next. So I'm going to click and design something as simple as this. Cursor is going to change. Found the point. He wants to hammer it or build this. There we go. Let's go back here into the design part. Choose a slab. Again, settings, all of the settings, layer, and different types of geometry input. Let's choose the rectangular one. One click. another click, and I'm done. And now with the arrow, I can come up here and select my elements. Please notice that most of the time I would recommend you to work with this third option, which is pretty much like AutoCAD. From the left to the right, you will only select those that are inside the selection region. Bad example, because this was drawn with the chained walls and I have the suspension of the groups that is not activated. So I'm going to activate suspend groups. Let's go back and select now. As you can see, only this wall was selected because it was the only element that was entirely in this region. But if you have this third option on and I do this from the left side, from the right side to the left side, it will select everything that it's inside my region independently of being entirely inside or not. There we go. The only thing that was not selected was actually this little wall here. This is what I want to show you for this part of the screen. Let's go down here and see what's happening. We have zoom tools, so nothing really fancy. I can also zoom with my scroll wheel. I can come back to my previous zooms. Most importantly, you have the scale of the project, so you can just change. I also want to explain to you that these little icons on the left are always related to what's going on the right. For instance, here I have my layers and layer combination windows in which I can create new layers, delete layers, and create new layer combinations. And on the right side, I have the existing layer combinations. So let's come here, for instance, and document this a little bit. I'm going to add some dimensions. So I'm going to click here, second click here. I want to finish this, so I have to double click and select the position of my dimension. Let's just put it here. I'd like to add that the fact that with one single click over this wall, he automatically selected the two parts of the wall. This is an option of the dimension tool that I'm not going to discuss right now, but we can change those options. Now, as I want to show you, let's say that I'm happy with what I have in the screen right now in terms of information of layers that are displayed. I can come up here and create a new layer combination. Let's call it plan 100th with dimensions. There we go. Now let's say that I also want to create a plan without dimensions. I can just click on this dimension, click right, and ask to hide this layer. Or even better, let's activate a tool that I recommend you to have always available. Let's come here into Window, Palettes, or click on Quick Layers, and you have this amazing toolbar that I think it's very important. With a single click, I can say that selected objects layers are going to be hidden, or other layers are going to be hidden. Let's click there, and now I have my plan without dimensions. Let's say that I want to create a new layer combination like this. I can either come here and click on this icon, or just do Command or Control L for layer and create a new one. And this one I'm going to call plan 100th without dimensions. It's up to you the way you want to name this. Notice that this one layer is off because it corresponds to what I have in the screen. So now I can just toggle between these two, and from the same plan, this is how you're going to create different documents showing different information, so you can then put them on your layouts. I'm going to advance on this lower bar here. For instance, we have the pen settings, all the options. You know, the pen sets are here, and on the right side they're listed in here. Let's choose grayscale. There we go. Let's go back into architectural 100th. And regarding this, all these options here in the bottom, I'm going to stop here. Another very important part, it's what is happening here on the right. Now, for some reason, if it's not showing, I think it is, but if it's not, just click on this little house here. It's going to open this navigator. And now in order to make it stick, just come back here and you can say show navigator. In my case, it's showing hiding navigator because it was already opened. The navigator, and you can just toggle between the different elements that you want to show or open. Let's say, for instance, that I want to go one story up. I just have to double click here. It becomes bold. And as you can see, now I'm working on the first story. I can come back to the ground floor. And this is what we call the project map. It's listing all of the parts of this project, all of the schedules, all of the information takeoff, all of the details. But the magic starts in my second part here, which is the view map. The view map is where I can create different views with different settings, including different scales and obviously different layer combinations. So let's create, for instance, a view at this scale and with this with the dimensions activated. All I have to do is to come here and click on Save Current View. Automatically, I have all the options that are down here reproduced in here so that I don't even have to bother. I usually say to people I work with, just take a look at what you have in the screen. If that's what you want, just go ahead and create the view. Archicad will automatically put the options in here. And I have a ground floor view with dimensions. Let's say I want to create a second one without the dimensions. I just come here and change without dimensions, new view. It's already there, the layer combination. Let's just say at this time I want this to be at 200, sorry. I can create. So I can specify 200 without dimensions. And every single time I double click this, I will find my project with the settings that I defined when creating the views. This is very important, and this doesn't happen here. You cannot create several views of the same floor. This is like the physical structure of the project. And here you can create all the views that you need in order to create your documents. Make sure you understand the difference between this and this. Often people say, well, can I design using a view, or do I have to come back here and choose a plan from the project map? Obviously, you can design here, and I even recommend that you design here. When you start creating views, you're starting to manage the information that you have on the screen. So if you're quite well organized in here and you create folders and subfolders, you can easily find the kind of information that you want to work on. So let's say that most of the times I want to work without dimensions. I can come here and double click and I'll have the settings right there ready for me to work, and I can continue to model. This is kind of like chronological. You start here creating your stories, but then you can create views, and then you start creating layouts. You know, like you have sheets, and you can just drag your views, position them, and create your layouts. And then finally, you have your publisher sets. Basically, you're going to create different sets of drawings that you want to publish into different formats. I can decide where do I want to save these files. If I double click in there, I can see that I already have folders in there with different layouts that I decided to save in PDF format, but I can also choose DWG and other formats. And then finally, I just have to publish. So let's just try to publish the selected item. Go ahead and click on publish. I have to decide where I want to save it. And now publish. There we go, it's saved. Now, before I leave you today and I finish this little tutorial, let's just see some of the tools that are here that are very important for you to start drawing. Like, I'm just going to do a wall here. Since I'm using the chain method and I want to finish the wall, I can click back here in the same point. I'm going to do another wall here. And now several things I can do with this. Just going to select them both. And here, for instance, I can intersect them. There we go. Let's make this one a little bigger. Just drag it down from that point. Also this one. Now I can just cut this wall like that. I can split walls, and I'm going to design an axis here. Archicad is asking me which side I want to stay selected. Let's say I want to delete the upper part, so I will keep that one selected, and I can just delete it. Let's say that I make this one a little bit smaller, and now I can just project and extend to this one. So these are very important tools. Obviously, very important, it's what's happening down here. Click right, and you have all the options and the shortcuts for you to drag or move objects, rotate them, drag with a copy, etc. These options you will also find in here in the Edit menu. I hope this helped you to feel a little bit less intimidated with this user interface, which in my humble opinion is very well designed. I really like the way how the icons have become over the years, very simple, very pleasing to the eyes. Remember, I recommend you to open this tool, the Quick Layer tool, set it there and keep it there because it's so handy. You can find it right there, Quick Layers. I would just ask you to go ahead and experiment, start looking at the options that you can find in the settings dialog, and have fun. So that's it for today. I hope I can welcome you to another video, and I hope this helps you. Thank you very much.